guys, welcome to the channel. If you're a return viewer, thank you so much. If you're new, then welcome. Today we're going to cover something a little different. I've been talking about gun parts, which are all over the place behind me and all that for a long time, but today I'm going to get back to a little bit more of the tactical side, or sort of tactical side, in that I want to talk about owning the room. And this isn't a connotation you need to be kick the door in and be the a-hole in the room so everybody knows who you are. Actually, quite the contrary. I want you to understand that when you own a room, you just know everything that's going on. You understand your surroundings and how to use them to your benefit, things like that. And so I've got 5 things I'm going to go over very briefly. I'm not going to bore you for 30 minutes today, but some of these tips, not all of them, I'm only doing 5, but like I said, but some of these tips are what I used to tell my soldiers when we had security details and we would do security for local officials in Iraq and Afghanistan, some of our generals and things like that, and an ambassador one time that we had to guard for a short period of time, things like that. But the first one is always know where your entrances and your exits are, your ingress, your egress, how to get in and out of a room. There's always more than one place. You know, my kids think it's weird whenever we've moved somewhere new. We'll go to a local shopping center like Walmart, and I'll get in trouble at Walmart because I'll go in the back, like behind the scenes, behind the coolers, where the employees have all their stuff stored and things like that, and the goods and stuff are stored, and I'll find the exits to the outside. Because technically they're fire exits, and they're allowed to be used. And so I always go find those things, and my kids are like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? That's me owning the room. I want to know how to get the heck out of a place. Because generally speaking, the way you got into a room is not the most advantageous way to get out. Because if it was easy for you to get in, it's easy for bad guy or disaster or whatever to get in that way as well. And so always have a plan to get out. Your primary is the way you came in. Your alternate is a secondary exit, side exit, a back exit, things like that. Your contingency, and yes, I'm doing a PACE plan, your contingency is maybe an exit behind the coolers at a supermarket or something like that. Maybe it's hitting that fire bar and getting out of a fire door. Your emergency could be breaking a window to get out of whatever room that you're in. Making sure that I can come in and out of a room, not necessarily freely. I want to be able to get into a room freely, but getting out may not be a free endeavor. It might take some effort. And so making sure that you know when and where, or where you can go to do those things, is very advantageous to you during an emergency. The second thing, this was really big for us because we always had to size people up. I'm looking for who's out of place, who's uncomfortable, how are they acting, I can't go over how everything in that gets wrapped up into what that means to you. But if somebody's acting really strange in a very comfortable environment, you need to watch that person. If somebody's acting very aggressive in that very comfortable environment, again, you need to be watching that person or get out of there. All right? The other thing, dressing correctly, dressing right, dressing for the occasion, things like that. If you're at a suit and tie event and some dude shows up in a t-shirt and board shorts, you're either going to want to hang out with them or you're going to want to watch them, or maybe get away from them, you know? And so there's no one size fits all, but look for the out of place. And I'm going to say this because being a veteran, we're pretty bad about this. A lot of veteran friends of mine are pretty bad about this. They don't know how to dress the part. They don't understand the dress attire sometimes that needs to be done, and I hate to blanket statement like that, I really do. But it's kind of true. And a lot of soldier or ex-soldiers tend to dress like they did when they joined the military 20 years ago. That's fine, but understand, it's okay to wear an outdated polo shirt to a semi-formal or business casual event. That's fine. It's okay to wear an older tie, but not showing up to a black tie event in, you know, jeans and a t-shirt. So look for those things. Look for the person that's out of place. Size people up. If you conceal carry, you know who's conceal carrying because the movements they make and things like that. Sometimes they'll try to readjust if it's on their hip or appendix carry. They'll kind of readjust things sometimes, and so you know those aren't always your enemies. They're also not always your friends, and so be aware of that. Sorry, I'm looking at the side here as my list so I don't forget something here. Oh, number 3. This one can be placed anywhere on this list because this is not in order of importance or anything like that. Cover versus concealment. Cover is something that's going to stop around an object being thrown at you, something like that. Concealment is something that hides you from somebody. Cover is concealment. Concealment is not cover. All right? I could stand behind a bush and be really still and people would just glance right by me if I was wearing neutral colors and things like that. But if somebody was shooting into a bush and I was standing behind it, they're going to shoot me. And so look for cover and concealment in locations. Guy shows up with a knife and nobody's got a gun, nobody's shooting them. Well, I can't shoot through a crowd of people to defend everybody, so I need to go hide myself, hide my spouse, hide my kids, whoever I'm with, protect those around me, things like that. So I need to make sure I understand cover versus concealment and have a practical knowledge of that and know that it's not Hollywood. I can't flip over a little flimsy table and sit behind it while dudes are shooting at me. It's not going to happen because it doesn't work like that. I can't hide behind a little chair with a little metal frame and, oh, it's going to make a spark and fly off and ricochet like in the movies. It's not. And so understanding what can stop a bullet. If you don't know, grab some junk out of somebody's junk pile, take it out to your local shooting range or out in the woods somewhere and just blast it and see if it'll stop a bullet. You'd be surprised. We've shot through trees very large with 5.56 and it went right through them. So having a practical understanding of that, knowing where you're going to go if something goes down. If you don't have any cover and you only have concealment or you don't have concealment at all, you better be ready to fight, which is a whole nother topic. All right, 4th one, assets versus liabilities, or assets and or liabilities. What in the room and who in the room is an asset? If you've got friends in there, I hope they're your assets. I hope your friends are assets. I hope they're not liabilities. This is going to sound really harsh, but if you think about it, most people's spouses and most people's kids are liabilities. That's just the way they are. They can't fight back. They're not carrying guns. They're not carrying knives. They're not in a defensive posture, ready and able to defend. So they're an asset, or a liability, I'm sorry. And so figure out what your assets are, figure out what your liabilities are, and have a plan for those. Because if you're sizing up your cover and concealment, and I know I'm dragging along 2 or 3 liabilities, I'm going to put them behind cover and concealment as fast as I can because I need them out of the way. All right, so think about that. There's a lot of situations you can go over with that. If I've got somebody I'm protecting, I got to know where those things are. The person you're protecting is generally a liability. I'm going to put them behind cover as fast as possible, and I'm going to get there with them. So lots to cover on that, but I'm not going to go too far into depth on that because it's probably a 2-hour talk and would be better served in a full-on discussion with people with similar experiences. And then the 5th one I wanted to cover was attitudes. Who in the room that you're in has an attitude, and what kind of attitude? All right, kind of goes back to sizing people up. And so I'm sizing people up, I'm looking around, I've got my entrances covered, and now I'm really like, okay, I'm actually watching and learning about the people in the room now. Like, we're in a pretty chill situation, and that dude over there is really upset about something. And he's upset about the 3 people that he's standing with, and he's fussing at them. Make some space, get away from them. Heck, get closer, keep your enemies close, right? Get close to them, find out what's going on. If you have to intercede, if that's your job, then fine. Generally it's not. Find out who's awkward, who's out of place, who's nervous. You know, I don't want to be around a bunch of nervous people. I want to be around confident people. Confidence attracts confidence. Confidence does not attract uneasy, unsettled, nervous people. And so I don't want to be around those people. I want to be around the people that are confident all the time. And if they don't know, they're confident enough to say, I don't know much about that, John or Jill. Why don't you tell me about it? You just made yourself more confident. All right, so I want to assess the people's attitudes in the rooms, and all of these are going to play into each other. All of these are going to augment or enhance each other or detract from each other. And so this is just a quick list of things that I look for when I go into a room, and I hope that's helpful for you. If you've got something else that you look for when you go into a room, drop it down in the comments below. I'd love to have a discussion about it. I'm not going to be rude to you. I'm not going to be mean to you. If you've got a legit comment and you're not just trying to attack people, then we'll discuss it because I want to talk about it. And if you've got some other points, like I said, if you want to make them, drop them in the comments below. And I appreciate you joining me today. Stay tactical.